All right, welcome everyone. Let's just jump right into this. Today, we are stepping into the wild, high-stakes world of municipal bonds. If you're studying for your Series 6, you absolutely need to know exactly how new municipal issues are disclosed to the public, because the rules here are completely different from corporate stocks. We're going to break down the exact documents you need to memorize and the tricky traps the exam is absolutely going to set for you.
But hey, before we get to the flying tackles and backroom brawls of municipal finance, a real quick shout out. This explainer is brought to you by CertFuel. They've got a fantastic Series 6 course with adaptive study quizzes, smart flashcards, and unlimited practice exams that are weighted exactly like the real thing. Highly recommend checking them out at certfuel.com. Okay, let's get back into it. Act 1, the No Prospects Exemption.
So let's meet our cast of characters. We've got Cora the customer, right? She wants to buy a brand new municipal bond. And then there's Rita the rep, who is super eager to make a sale. So Rita reaches into her desk, pulls out a giant stack of papers and says, "Here you go, Cora, here is the prospectus." And suddenly, bam, the door flies open. It's Sam, the supervisor. Sam literally dives across the room and absolutely tackles Rita to the ground, papers scattering everywhere. Why? Because this brings us to a massive exam trap. You gotta burn this into your brain right now. Municipal securities do not have a prospectus. Seriously, if you see the word prospectus as an answer choice for a new muni bond, run the other way. Now, you're probably wondering, why did Sam have to go full NFL linebacker on Rita? Well, it's because municipal bonds are exempt from Securities Act registration. They're government securities, and because they are not registered with the SEC, there is absolutely no SEC-reviewed prospectus. It just doesn't exist. Instead, the Municipal Securities Rulemaking Board, the MSRB, created this sort of parallel universe of substitute documents. They do the exact same job as a prospectus, but we call them something completely different. Which brings us to Act 2. The pose tease. Okay, so Rita dusts herself off, awkwardly apologizes to Sam, and hands Cora the correct document, the Preliminary Official Statement, or POS. Think of the POS as the municipal equivalent of a red herring. The issuer sends it out to potential investors, like Cora, just to test the waters. They're basically saying, hey, we're building a massive new toll bridge. Here's our financial health. Who's interested? But as Cora is flipping through this POS, she starts getting really frustrated. It's totally just a tease. And this perfectly illustrates what you need to know for the test. The POS does not contain the final interest rates. It doesn't have the offering prices, and it doesn't have the final maturity schedule. Why? Well, because the bond hasn't officially been priced yet. They're still just gauging interest. Poor Cora can't do the math on her returns because the final numbers literally do not exist yet.
Act 3, the OS and the Emma Vault.
All right, let's fast forward a few days. The underwriters finalize their bids, the math is officially locked in, and the bond is priced. This kicks off a really crucial MSRB flow. Step 1, the issue is priced and awarded. Step 2, the final official statement, or OS, is prepared by the issuer. And Step 3, the underwriter is legally required to deliver this final OS to customers like Cora. No more teasing. This is the real deal. When Cora finally opens up the final official statement, she gets all the juicy details she's been waiting for. It contains the final interest rates, the exact offering prices or yields, the strict maturity schedule, the sources and uses of funds, and the final legal opinions. Literally everything she needs to know about exactly what she is buying and exactly what it pays is right there in the OS. Okay, pause the explainer right now. Seriously, think about this for a second. Once the deal is done and Rita has handed Cora her copy, where does Sam, the supervisor, have to send a digital copy of this final OS so the rest of the public can see it? What is the name of that system? Do you have your answer? EMMA, the Electronic Municipal Market Access Platform. You absolutely must associate the official statement with EMMA. EMMA is basically the MSRB's giant public digital vault. Underwriters are required to post the final OS to EMMA so that any investor anywhere in the world can look up the final terms of that bond for years to come. The OS goes to EMMA. Lock that in your brain.
Act 4, the backroom brawl, also known as the notice of sale.
But wait, flashback time. Before Rita even had this bond to sell, how did her firm win the rights to it in the first place? Imagine Cora, the customer, picks up a copy of the bond buyer newspaper. She sees something called a notice of sale and tries to read it. Once again, Sam the supervisor sprints across the room and slaps the newspaper right out of her hands. Why? Because here is your next massive exam trap. A notice of sale solicits underwriters, not investors. If an exam question says a notice of sale was sent to a retail customer,
Total trick. You see, a notice of sale is this highly technical public announcement used only in competitive offerings, like most general obligation or GO bonds. The municipality is basically putting up a bat signal in the bond buyer saying, "Attention underwriting syndicates, we're auctioning off a bond issue. Submit your lowest interest rate bids." Compare that to a negotiated offering like a revenue bond, where the municipality just picks an underwriter privately. Negotiated offerings do not use a notice of sale at all.
And if you look inside that notice of sale, you're not going to find anything useful for retail investors anyway. Instead, you'll find the issue size, the bid date and time, and these incredibly complex bidding instructions for the syndicates. It's essentially an instruction manual for a multi-million-dollar backroom bidding war. That is exactly why Sam slapped it out of Cora's hand. It is way above her pay grade. It's strictly for the underwriters.
So let's tie this entire narrative together chronologically. This is exactly how a municipal bond is born. Phase 1. The notice of sale goes out to solicit underwriting syndicates for competitive bids. Phase 2. The winning underwriter uses the preliminary official statement, the POS, to gauge investor interest without giving final prices. And Phase 3. The bond is officially priced, and the final official statement, the OS, is delivered to the customer and permanently locked away in the EMA vault.
And this brilliantly illustrates everything you need to memorize. Seriously, take a mental screenshot of this side-by-side comparison table. Notice of sale, the target audience is underwriters, and the key feature is soliciting competitive bids. POS, target audience is investors, key feature is preliminary terms with no final prices. OS, target audience is investors, key feature is full final terms posted to EMA. If you know this table backwards and forwards, you are going to be bulletproof on the exam.
All right, time for a rapid-fire recap. These are the top testable points, lightning fast. Let's go.
Remember Sam tackling Rita? Municipal bonds are completely exempt from SEC registration. Do they have a prospectus? Never. Don't ever pick it.
The preliminary official statement is just a teaser. It's the red herring. Does it have final interest rates or offering prices? No way.
The official statement has the real math. It's the final, complete document. And where does Sam the supervisor lock it away so the public can see it? EMA. And remember Sam slapping the newspaper out of Cora's hands? Investors never, ever respond to a notice of sale. It is exclusively for underwriters to place competitive bids.
You know the documents, and you've seen the traps. But before you go, ask yourself this. If the MSRB forces underwriters to build this massive, public EMA vault, just to ensure transparency in a market that doesn't even use the SEC standard prospectus, what happens to a rep like Rita if she gets these disclosures wrong on a multi-million-dollar institutional trade? The penalties are incredibly steep. So keep that compliance mindset sharp, absolutely crush those practice exams, and I'll see you on the next explainer.